Flosstube. Thanks for stopping by my channel. My name is Shiloh and I'm a cross stitcher, knitter, and crocheter living in Nova Scotia, Canada. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as @Xstitchmd, and I'll have links below to my social media profiles as well as all the projects that I'm working on because there's been a lot. I haven't filmed in a couple of months and there's a lot to catch you up on. So yeah, it's been a few months. Life got busy, work got busy. We went away a couple of weeks ago to the Dominican for a week, which was amazing. And you know, the time just got away from me. So I'm back. I have lots to share. Part of also the reason for my absence is I really wanted to finish Bewitched Park before I filmed next because I was like, it just needs to be done. It needs to be done. So spoiler alert, it is done. And I'm so excited to share it with you today. I also have a bunch of framed finishes that I got done recently. I got a couple done at Michael's and then wasn't really happy with the quality there. My regular person had retired, which I think I mentioned before. So I tried out a new frame shop in my area and they did an amazing job. So I'm really excited because next week I'm going to drop off Bewitched Park there and I can't wait to see how it turns out. So like I said, things have been just busy. Been really enjoying spending a lot of time outdoors with Sam. We've had a ton of snow here and Sam adores the snow. So I'll put in some pictures of him here just having a blast. We had a whole bunch of snowstorms all in a row and no complaints from him. We also had an awesome time in the Dominican. We went with my husband's side of the family, which was awesome. We had never all traveled before, but we all still like each other and we survived the trip and it was a really great time. It was my birthday during the trip as well, so really fun to be able to celebrate that in warmer weather compared to all the snow here. However, it's been raining all weekend, all our snow is gone, and hopefully that is it for the year because I am ready for the summer and the sunshine and being able to go outside and do all the hikes with Sam. He's finally fully off-leash trained, and so we can do all the things with him. So I'm really looking forward to this summer and being able to do all that. Okay, let's go to the stitching though. First things first, let's show Bewitched Park because it has been a long time in the making and it is finally done. So I started this project on August 7th, 2021. So 2.5 years ago, and had grand plans of finishing it for my 1-year wedding anniversary, which was August 13th, 2023. That obviously did not happen, but it is now finally done. And so let me show it to you in all of its glory. All right, make sure I have it the right way. Here it is. It is absolutely humongous. So the total size, it is 31 inches long and 19 inches high. And I am so happy with how it turned out. It was such a relief to put in the last stitch, let me tell you. I tried to convince Spencer to put the last stitch in just so that he could say like he contributed to the project, but he was so worried he was gonna like do it wrong. And I was like, it's literally impossible to do it wrong. I just want you to pull the thread through this hole, but no, couldn't do it. So I only had kind of like this section left to do. And what I did, which was actually a recommendation to me from some people on YouTube, as well as Crafty Kim when I saw her at the Jacobpalooza retreat in October, was she recommended that I just flip my project upside down to work on the final left-hand corner because I was working on it, you know, right side up, and I had all of this rolled that I was holding in my hand and it was just really heavy and awkward and uncomfortable. So when I flipped it, I did the last bit upside down. And I don't think you can tell the difference in my stitches at all. I made sure to still cross them all the same way, but that worked out really well. So thank you for the tip, and I'm definitely gonna do that again in the future when I work on another big project like this. So just show you a close-up of some of this. So this is all the called for DMC. It was 90 colors. And I used 2 strands of DMC on 18 count Aida, which I think the coverage is really nice. When you get up really close to some of the black stitches, sure, it's a little bit sparse, but like from here, you can't tell, it looks amazing. Like, look at that. Yeah, so I'm absolutely thrilled with how this turned out. Spencer is very happy with it. And the best part of all is because it's a present for him, he is paying for the framing because it's not gonna be cheap. So that is it. Bewitched Park by Leonid Afremov, charted by Artisy Designs. It was 186,450 stitches, and it took me 2.5 years to complete. So it's done. I still can't believe it. Yeah, it's amazing. It feels very weird not to have to work on it anymore. I do kind of miss it, and I'm also very relieved it's done. We have a spot picked out in our living room wall for it, so I'm gonna drop that off this week for framing, and I can't wait to get it back. So yeah, very bittersweet that it's done, but also a relief because a lot of years of my life have gone into this. So, oh, and if you want to see my back, why not? Here it is. It's not terrible. It's not terrible. So, I learned a lot in stitching this. I learned that for full coverage stitching, I really enjoy what's called the typewriter method. And if you look up on YouTube, there's a lot of different videos about it. But basically that means just like starting in one corner and working your way across symbol by symbol. And I did it in 20 stitch across columns and worked all the way down to the bottom of the piece. And I found I really liked doing it that way because, as you can see, there's like a lot of similar colors at the top, and then it changes in the middle, and then it changes again in the bottom. So when I worked across in 20 stitch columns, I got to experience all of those colors all the way down, which helped prevent me from getting too burnt out on any one color. Although doing these tree trunks was a lot of DMC 310. But yeah, so I'm really, really enjoying that. I have started another full coverage, which I will show you. And I have 2 others that I also am planning on starting. I just need to get the fabric for them because, surprise, surprise, I don't have massive pieces of fabric just laying around in my stash. So I don't know about you, but I usually tend to buy fat quarters, and for most full coverage pieces, a fat quarter is not enough. Okay, so that's my giant finish. I also have a much smaller finish, but it's also very cute, and I'm very happy with it. So let me just get my little paper to hold behind it. I started and finished Gwyneth's Bouquet by Maximum Cross Stitch. So this is just so pretty and cute and darling, and I love it. I stitched this on 32 count Dunes Even Weave by Fiber on a Whim, and it's gorgeous fabric. Love, love, love it. I'm using I used all the called for Roxy Floss colors, and it's beautiful. I love it so much. It's just like a cute little size, and I'm excited to get that framed in the future. My plan is I am stitching the patchwork series from 1897 Schoolhouse Samplers. I started one of them and I'll show it to you. And I'm doing them all on the same fabric. So like this piece isn't part of that series, but I thought it coordinated nicely. And so once they're all done, I want to get them all framed kind of similarly with each other. So yeah, really like this fabric. I hadn't used Fiber on a Whim fabric before, but it's really beautiful and lovely, and they have some gorgeous colors. So that's a finish, woo! This was my first finish for 2024, and then Bewitched Park, I think, counts as like 50 finishes for the year. Okay, so those are my 2 stitching finishes. Let's show you all my framed stuff because I got a bunch of stuff framed. I had like just all these projects just kind of sitting in this is our spare room, which also doubles as my craft room. And they were all just kind of like rolled up on the bed, and I was like, I might as well just get them framed. So anyway, I got a bunch framed at Michael's, multiple of which had to go back to get readjusted because they couldn't seem to understand that I wanted like a straight line. I don't know, it seemed intuitive to me, but anyway, after a couple of negative experiences, they turned out okay now, but I did try a different frame shop, which gave me much better results. So I'll go through all of that. So let's start off with the ones that I got framed at Michael's. So I have this giant pile here beside me, so let's just see if I can ease these out. Okay, so you can kind of see a sneak peek of one of them here because it's so huge. But here's the pieces that I got framed at my local Michael's. So this first one is Mary Amelia's Bird by Quaint Rose Needle Arts. And I stitched this on 36 count XJU design rustic drab linen. with a Roxy Floss Co conversion, and I love it. I went with a gray frame to try to pull out some of the grays and the birds, and I'm really, really happy with this. This was just an off the shelf at Michael's, sorry, off the shelf frame from Michael's. So it was like a $20 frame, and they just charged like $30 to pop it in the frame and stretch it and stuff. They actually did a really good job with this one. I have no complaints, and I think it's so cute. I love it. So this will be the start of my bird wall. Just haven't decided what wall in our home yet is going to be my bird wall, but I really, really am happy with how this one turned out. So that is Mary Amelia's bird. Okay, this next one I had to get redone multiple times, and it's still not perfect, but it's good enough. So this is September's Revenge by Maximum Cross Stitch. And I don't know if you can tell, but it's like a little bit closer to the top than it is to the bottom. But honestly, like after dealing with the headache of it for a bit, I was like, whatever, it's fine. So this was a custom frame. I really do love this frame with like the distressing on it. And I think it really picks out the white letters well. So I am happy with this. I just wish they could have centered it slightly better, but whatever. So that is super pretty. I loved stitching this piece. It's on 32 count Panettone linen by Roxy Floss with the Roxy Floss called for colors, and the chart is September's Revenge by Maximum Cross Stitch. So pretty. Okay, this next one is actually I think it's the same frame as for Mary Amelia's bird, just in a slightly bigger size. So this was also just an off the shelf frame that they just popped into it for me. And this is, I believe, Toccata number, it's either Toccata 1 or 2, I can't remember, I'll put it right here, by the Drawn Thread. And as you can see, I finished this in 2012, so it was long overdue for framing. And they did a good job with this one, I think. The edges mostly are straight. And it's so nice just to have this framed so I can put it up. And yeah, I thought the gray went really well with like the greens and purples in this piece. I did do a color conversion on this piece. I think it's charted in blues and reds, and I have no clue what colors I used. I feel like the purples are probably DMC 3042 and 3041, because I really loved those colors back in the day. Well, I still do, but I used a lot of those. The blue is probably called for, and then the green, I don't even know what I used for it. Maybe like DMC 520 and 523, something around that. So yeah, very happy with that one. Ooh. Okay, and this last one is probably the one that turned out the best of all of them. So this was also from Michael's, and really happy with this one. So this is, oh gosh, oh, sorry for all the reflection, you can see everything. This is, I think it's called Birdie by Stitchy Box Samplers. I'll include, I'll put it right down below. And this was also an off-the-shelf frame, but it had the mat and everything, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. I stitched this, I believe, on 40 count linen. Oh, you can see my camera. 40 count linen with a needlepoint ink silk, and really happy with how that turned out. It is so pretty. Yay. Okay, so those are the 4 things I picked up from Michael's. Let's move on to the pieces that I got done at my new to me, local frame shop. So it's called Frame Plus Art in Halifax, Nova Scotia. And they did an awesome job. The 2 people that I worked with there were both absolutely lovely. They're also dog friendly, so I brought Sam with me to the shop, and they both loved him, so that automatically equals bonus points in my mind. So I dropped off 2 pieces, one like smaller, one bigger, just to see how they would do. And they did an amazing job. It's not cheap, but you know what? When I don't have to deal with the hassle of going back and needing to get it fixed 16 times, it's worth it to me to spend a little bit more money. And like I said, Spencer's paying for the framing for Bewitched Park, so who cares? Okay, so let me show you the 2 pieces I picked up from them. All right, so here's the first one, and I am just in love with this. So this is Random Thoughts by the Drawn Thread, and you can see I finished it in 2010, so it was long overdue to be framed. Look at this frame. It's like a reddish distressed color, which I think just looks amazing. I'm so happy with this. I think it turned out so good. There's all these little charms and stuff, so they put in spacers, and it looks amazing. I'm so happy with this. I used the called for NPI silk on this, and it's on a 32 count summer khaki Belfast linen. And then I think the white is like a soie perlé or something like that. I feel like I got like an accessory pack or something when I got this. I got this chart a long time ago, like in 2010. It's still available on 123 Stitch, but I don't see the accessory pack there. But I'm sure you could just use, it did provide a DMC conversion. So love that. Super, super happy with how that turned out. Okay, let's show the big one because this one is amazing and showed me that they definitely can frame large projects. Okay, let's see. I don't even know if this is gonna fit in the frame or in the camera. So here it is. This is Flower Power by the Crosswind collection. And let me just show you the frame close up. Oh gosh, I can hold it. So here's the frame with the double mats, and it looks amazing if I do say so myself. It is very heavy, but it looks so good. I'm so happy with this. There you go, you can see it there. So this is massive. This is probably like around the size Bewitched Park will be. And as you can see, I'm struggling to hold it because it's very heavy. But I am so happy with how they did this. The edges are all nice and crisp and smooth, and it just looks so good. So good. So yeah, I finished this one in 2015. If you can see my little signature there underneath the orange flowers. So yeah, okay, I can't hold this up anymore. But love this. It turned out so good. I'm so happy with this frame. It's so pretty, and it actually coordinates nicely with the frames on the wall here. So we're trying to figure out a good spot to put this in our house because it doesn't really match our current decor. It is the decor I would like us to have, but our house currently is very much a man house because it was Spencer's house and I moved in. So think a lot of like black leather, gray walls. So eventually this will be our decor, but we might hang it in our in-laws' house in the meantime. They live on a lake, much more like cottagey stuff. We're hoping to move in the next couple of years because our current place is pretty small. And as we have kids and stuff, we'll definitely need more space. But anyway, so my lovely mother-in-law might be getting a nice gift of a giant piece to hang temporarily until we have the space for it. But yeah, very happy with how this turned out. So I think that's probably a record for finishes in one video. But I guess that's what happens when you leave things for years before getting framed. Okay, so that's all the finishes and framed finishes. Let's go in with some of the whips I've been working on. So I mentioned that I am working on the 1897 Schoolhouse Sampler Patchwork Series, which was done in collaboration with Evertote. And I'm gonna be stitching that, well, I'm gonna be stitching all of them on the same fabric I stitched Gwyneth's Bouquet. So I made a start on I think this is number 4. My Heart is in Flames, which is beautiful. I have the charts for the other 3, and the 5th one I think should be releasing soon. But, you know, just decided to start this one at number 4 because why not? So here's my progress on it. And like I said, I'm using the 32 count Dunes Even Weave by Fiber on a Whim. Apologies for the wrinkliness. There's my start on it so far. So I'm using 2 strands of the called for Roxy Floss Co. floss over 2. And it is super cute so far. It's gonna be tiny. I love it. I love the blues in this. It's so pretty. It's really fun because I feel like it's not often that designers design with overdyed floss when they use multiple shades, because often you're using overdyed floss to get that variegated look without having to use multiple shades. So it's really fun when you get to use the variegated floss like this. So pretty. So that's my start on My Heart is in Flames. I have a decent amount of it completed. So that, yeah, love that. Love that. Okay, what else have I been working on? I have pulled back out Long Dog Sampler's fish and, I'm just gonna say fish and ships because trying to say fish and ships is very weird. So I last worked on this, according to Instagram, in May 2023. So it was long overdue to come back out. And I am very close to a finish on this. So let's see if it will cooperate with being displayed. So there it is. I'm at like 83% complete. I do not have very much left. Oh, I love it. So let's show you in close up the area I most recently worked on. So I was working on this ship in the lower right corner, which was so fun to work on. I love all these fish along the bottom, and then it's the fish are like shooting the bubbles out of their mouth, which is so cute. So last night I was working on the anchor and got this part of the ship in. So yeah, not very much left to go at all on this one. So I am stitching this with DMC 3865, which is this nice white color, 2 strands over 2 on 32 count blue spruce Belfast linen, and I'm using 1 strand for the back stitching, you can see there. So yeah, this should be a finish this month, which I'm very excited about. I just love me a good long dog piece, and I also feel like this piece will look good on this wall, which is all like my white pieces. So yay. Always nice to pull out a piece where you haven't worked on it in forever and you're like, oh, I'm actually like really far along on this piece. Why haven't I finished it? I'm sure many of you can relate. All right, so I'm holding this chart as like my little background there, so I might as well show this one next. So this was a new start, and it was supposed to be a Christmas Eve start along with Caroline from Caroline's Stitching Corner. However, I didn't have my act together and started it in January. Anyway, I've started it now. So she is doing a beautiful conversion in blues and browns, which check out her, I'll link her YouTube and Instagram below so you can see it, it's beautiful. I'm using all the called for. The one change I am making is that the border on the pattern, also this is like a terrible cover photo. Sorry, GGR, your stuff's beautiful, but the pattern cover photo is awful. On the border here, it shows it, I think this is the actual original sampler, and it shows the border as purple, but it's charted for red, and I did it in purple because I like that better. So here's where I'm at on it. I don't have a ton done on this, but here's where I'm at so far. So I'm stitching this on a 45 count legacy linen in the colorway Jersey Cream. Oops, and then there's where I'm at so far. Appreciate my office needle minder here. So yeah, so like you can see, I'm doing the border in purple, which was on the original. I don't know why they changed it to red. I think it would make too much red because the upper alphabet is also red. So, oops, I'm happy that I'm doing it in the purple. So it's called for DMC 1 strand over 2 on 45 count Jersey Cream legacy linen by Access Commodities. It's a really fun piece to work on. I love it. I need to get back to it. So fun. So fun and pretty. I had posted this on Instagram when I started this project, but I personally find that I like 45, 46 count linen so much better than 40 count. And I don't know what it is. I think it's a combination of like feeling like 1 strand on 40 count is like a little bit light for my taste, but on 45, 46 count, I feel like it's like perfect coverage. And I also find it easier to see the holes on 45, 46 count. I don't know if I may just have something in my head where I don't like 40 count, and so I've just determined to find all the problems with it. But I feel like I actually can see the holes better on 45, 46 count. So I don't know, maybe that's just me. Let me know. So speaking of 45 count, this is another piece I'm working on that, well, I actually haven't worked on it since December, but you haven't seen it since my last video. So this is when I also am working on 45 count. So this is Heap on the Wood by With Thy Needle and Thread, Brenda Gervais. Love this, love this. I don't know if I'll work on it again or I'll wait until next holiday season. But here's where I got to this year. So I did make quite a bit of progress, and oops, in my handy paper again. So this is on 45 count woven sedge linen by Access Commodities. And look at that little cardinal, that is over 1. So I don't know if you can get that to focus a little bit. I did half stitch because I was like, I'm not doing a full cross over 1. And I think it looks super cute. So I'm really happy with that. I'm using all the called for floss, which are a mix of Classic Colorworks, Gentler, and Weeks Dye Works. And I love it. It's really fun. Look at that cute little snowman. A lot of fill-in left to do in the house. So I haven't worked on this one since December. I might work on it again. Now that I have it out, I'm like, ooh, I want to work on it. But it's a really fun piece to work on, and I really like this fabric, the 45 count woven sedge. So that is Heap on the Wood. So yeah, I started that in December as part of, you know, I need to stitch on everything Christmas, and worked on it for a while, and then bye-bye. So I'll pull this up next Christmas and be like, oh wow, I got so much done on it. Okay, the next one that I worked on this, I started this at the beginning of January and haven't really worked on it since. So I started Sing a Song of Seasons, which is number 5 in the For the Birds Loose Feathers series by Blackbird Designs. So I'm stitching these all together on one piece of fabric, and I have the first 4 finished, so I'm on number 5 now. Let me just show you number 5 in the center, and then I'll show you the whole thing. So that's my progress on it so far. I'm using all the called for threads, which are Weeks Dye Works, 2 strands over 2 on 36 count Vintage Country Mocha. I was like, what is the name of this fabric? Vintage Country Mocha by Swaggart. So this is what I have. So I have number 4 done already. Number 1, number 2, and number 3. So there's where I'm at. And again, I haven't worked on this since the beginning of January. I did put the year in because that was important, right? 2024, which is funny because the one above it says 2022. So this is definitely a long-term project, but I'm really enjoying it. And yeah, it's funny filming this and pulling out all these whips I haven't worked on in a couple of months. I'm like, oh, I need to pull that back out. I need to get that back out. Yeah, so good times. Okay, and the other whip that I worked on, which I hadn't worked on in quite a while, is Pandemic by Long Dog Samplers. So I had forgotten how much I loved working on this one, and I hadn't had very much done on it, so it was definitely time to give it some love. So I am at the 10% mark now, which is great. It is going to be huge. So there it is. I'm stitching this on 37 count aesthetic white linen by Access Commodities. As you can see, there's a bit of a theme. I'm all about the Access Commodities linen. And I'm using 1 strand of Sulky, and the colorway is Almost Black. It's number 1, 2, 3, 4, which is very easy to remember. So there's where it's at. I'm using, like I said, 1 strand of Sulky, which I'm also using for the backstitch. It's kind of a heavy coverage for backstitch, but it's okay, I think. So see the cute little butterfly there with backstitch. So yeah, really enjoying this one. It's a lot of fun to work on. It's also gonna be massive, right? Like, look how big the fabric is. Oh, but 1 stitch at a time. So pretty. Yay. Love that. Okay, so the last whip I have to show you is the next full coverage piece I started. So a little bit of context, trying to decide what I wanted to start next for a full coverage piece. And I I still really want to start the Grand Library, which is an Amy Stewart piece of art charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. It's massive. So I think it's like 750 by 550. The total stitches, it's like 450,000. So for context, Bewitched Park was 186,000 stitches, and it turned out to be 19 by 30 on 18 count. So far, the 2 full coverage pieces I've stitched, I've both done an 18 count Aida, which I've loved. Easy to see, cheap fabric to get a big piece like that. But I'm like, for the Grand Library, that would be so huge. I just don't want it that huge. So was doing some research, trying to figure out what did I want to do it on. Because this is gonna be a long-term project, right? I want it to be enjoyable. So I don't want to stitch on something that's like so small that I can't really see it well, or it's not really fun to do. I also really like using 2 strands. So I wanted to kind of see if I could still use 2 strands. So I thought about doing it 2/1 tent stitch on 25 count. But my big concern about that is that I think my tension is pretty tight, and I am like convinced that I would make it where the project was warped. And I know a lot of people are like, you know, just use looser tension, or if you wash it, you can block it and all that, but it just makes me feel too stressed, and I don't want to spend all this time on a piece and just be stressed about it the whole time. The other thing too is I feel like the 2/1 coverage on 25 count is fine, but I don't think it's as heavy as a coverage that I personally would like. So anyway, lots of thoughts. So then I thought about doing it just over 1 instead, but full cross. So I think that's my current plan. So I didn't have any fabric big enough, obviously, but my current plan is to stitch this 1/1 full cross on 28 count Monaco. I like Monaco because it's the holes are pretty big, so it's fairly easy to see. I think it'll work okay, and I think the 1 strand coverage on 28 count for me will be better than on 25 count in terms of what I like. So I've ordered a piece of fabric. I'm gonna try it. We'll see how it goes. I really want to stitch this piece. I just want to make sure it's like an enjoyable stitching experience because it's going to be such a long-term project. So that's the current plan. So I've ordered some fabric, some Monaco, should be here in the next week or so, and then I'm gonna start working on it and see how it goes. Slightly nervous just because, well, it's gonna be hard to do a pin stitch, which is my preferred method on 28 count. It can be done. It's just gonna be not as easy. So we'll see. Maybe I'll just end up doing it on 18 count because I like that. Another option I thought of was doing it on 22 count heart hanger. But again, the coverage was a thing that I'm like, oh, is the coverage gonna be okay? Anyway, this has been the stressful thing about me because I want the coverage to look good. I don't want it to be too thick or too thin. I don't think I want to do 10 stitch because I'm worried about the warping of it. Anyway, love to hear your opinions, your suggestions, all of that down below. It's a lot. It's a lot to try and think about. The other option I have is I could do it on like a 45 count and just do it over 2. Because then it would be a lot easier to do pin stitch and all of that. I don't know. What do you think? I kind of like using like even weave or Aida for full coverage just because I feel like it gives it good structure, and I'd worry again about the Aida or the linen like warping. Has anyone else stitched a full coverage on linen? Like let me know your thoughts below. But that's my current plan, is gonna stitch Grand Library on 28 count even weave 1/1 full cross. We'll see. Okay, the other full coverage piece that I am planning on starting, I just have to get fabric for it as well, is this one. So this is Capri Morning, charted by Artisy Designs. And this was one that Spencer picked out. So we were in Capri 2 years ago. Love it, love Italy, love all that part of the world. And Spencer really wanted me to do a piece that kind of represents some of the traveling we've done. So he really liked this piece. So I was like, sure, why not? It's way smaller than Bewitched Park. It's about 300 by 250. So it's about 77,000 stitches. So I'm like way less of a commitment, which is nice. And I do love all the colors in it. So I'm gonna be stitching that on 18 count Aida because it's a more reasonable stitch count size. I'm just waiting for my fabric to come in the mail and I'm going to be starting that. So yeah, gonna be starting all the full coverage. I already have started another full coverage. This one's for me, and this is one I've been wanting to do. So this is Quiet Town by Leonid Afromov, charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. And if you can't tell, I love Leonid Afromov's paintings. They're just beautiful and stunning. I love the colors. I love the like movement in them. I just love them all. I have a whole bunch I want to stitch of his, but this one was really calling to me, especially because it had a lot of blues and stuff, which I hadn't stitched a ton with in Bewitched Park. So I thought it'd be really fun to do. So I have made a teensy little start on this. I think I'm at like, I don't even know. I think I'm at like 600 stitches in this. So not very much so far, but here's where I'm at. So, I mean, slightly unusual in that I'm using a printed fabric on this. So I wanted to start a full coverage ASAP, and the only 18 count Aida I currently had in my stash was this one, which is from Fabric Flair, and it's a printed fabric. So it's 18 count confetti. The back is just a plain white. The front is this fun like confetti thing. When you stitch on it, you can't tell, and I just wanted to start it. So I'm using this 18 count Aida, 2 strands over 2 with, 2 strands over 1 Aida square with the called for DMC. And I'm just loving the blues in this so far. It's so pretty. Again, not going to be super huge. It's a mini. So I think it's around, again, like 300 by 200 or so. It's like 75,000 stitches total. So it won't be massive. I'm loving the colors in it. I think it's 89 colors. So that's just my teeny little start. I haven't done a ton in it so far, but I am really enjoying it. So yeah, that is my full coverage adventures. I do use Pattern Keeper to keep my charts in. I have been really enjoying the program Markup RXP lately. So that is available both on Android and Apple devices. And what I really like about it is it's really easy to scan a chart and then import into Markup, and then it can find the symbols and do all that. I found that a lot easier to use than Pattern Keeper's scanning feature. So I've been using Markup RXP a lot lately because I've been scanning in all of my paper charts. It's especially easy to do if it's just a single page, but for multi-page charts, it works fine too. So I've been using that a lot, but I find Pattern Keeper, at least for me, I like it a lot better for full coverage pieces. It's just something about the interface and such. So I'm using both, but I have like Pattern Keeper is my go-to for the giant full coverage pieces because it just kind of works better. It automatically imports the symbols. I find Markup is a little bit hit or miss with that. But yeah, just wanted to share that. I think both of them are really great softwares and programs, and I kind of just use them for different things. So kind of like all my new patterns that I've been starting, I've been using Markup RXP for, and then my full coverage pieces, like even the new starts for that, I'm using Pattern Keeper. So yeah, excited to keep working on that. This fabric also is very lovely. It's like nice and soft and really good quality because the Bewitched Park I was using just like this super cheapy Ada I got from Michael's. It was like $10 for this massive piece. And it was not the most fun to work with, but I just sucked it up because I was like, this piece is so huge. Let's go cheap on the fabric, which maybe wasn't the best idea in retrospect, but it's just making me appreciate working with this Ada so much more because it's nice and soft. Okay, I think that's all the stitchy stuff that I have progress on to show you. Let's show you some of my knitting. So I have continued to be all about the blanket knitting lately, and I have started this project, which I don't think I've shared yet, and I am absolutely loving it. So this pattern is the Sweet Shop Blanket by Laura Penrose from Penrose Knits, and I am getting quite a bit of progress on this, so look how good this is. So far I have a million ends to weave in, so ignore. So let's talk about this. This yarn is from Polka Dot Creek Yarn, and they are offering a yearly blanket club. So what blanket club is it comes 3 months at a time. Each month has 10 10-gram minis, and they recommended using the pattern A Stitch in Time by Kay Jones, which is a beautiful pattern. I'll put the picture of it here. Here's my issue. It's a fingering weight pattern, and it's gonna be really small. And I just didn't really want to do a fingering weight blanket. I just find it takes a really long time. I like a bit of a thicker blanket. So I decided I was gonna go rogue and do the Sweet Shop blanket pattern instead. So what that entails is my yarn's held double, and I'm using a contrast color, which is just their natural, Polka Dot Creek Yarn's natural fingering, again, held double. So each month, there are 10 minis. So this top one is January. So we have this one, 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 this one. So each month is 10 squares across, and there's 12 months. So it'll be 10 by 12. So it's going to be large. Like it goes outside of the camera frame. So I have finished January, and then below that is February, which was more like darker pinks and reds. And I've made a start on March. So March is a lot of like orangey colors. My holdup now is I have run out of the natural colors. So the blanket club, the first quarter came with 2 skeins of the natural because that's all you would need if you were doing the Stitch in Time blanket. However, I'm gonna need like 10 skeins of it because I'm using it in much larger quantities. So I have ordered some more of it, which should be coming. So I'm kind of stalled on the blanket currently because waiting for that. But I am loving this. I just think it's so pretty and fun, and it's a really, really enjoyable pattern. Pretty easy to do. There are short rows involved in it, but like it's explained so well in the pattern. It is not hard to do. I am absolutely loving it. Work on that. I have ordered quarter 2, which is yellows and greens, and I'm really excited for that to come in the mail. So this will be a full year project and I'm really excited about it. So excited about it that I had to start another one. All right, so this is my next one, featuring this adorable project bag that my sister actually got me from Amazon for my birthday. So thank you. And I started a second sweet shop blanket because why not? So here's my teensy little start in it. I literally just started this last night, so it's not a lot done so far. So what this one is I am a member of Woolberry Fiber Company's monthly collective. So what that is every month you pay like basically a subscription free fee. You get a skein of yarn, which is shipped with shipping included as part of your subscription. And then you can also buy additional skeins for 10% off. I'm not sponsored, I pay for it myself. But last year I did that and I got bulky weight yarn, which I have some of it here, that I'm making giant granny squares out of, to make a giant granny square blanket, which I'm very far behind on, but that's fine. I'll get back to it eventually. This is like my stack I have of it. So this year I just was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my yarn from the club this year. And I decided I would get fingering weight yarn, hold it double, and make a sweet shop blanket. So with 100 gram skeins, I should be able to get 10 squares across. And it's 12 months. So again, should be 10 by 12. So it'll be a similar size to my sweet shop blanket. So I think it's going to be super fun. Every month it'll be 2 different colors. So these are January's colors. So we have this like dark purpley color. It's not showing up very well. Maybe you can, no, it's like a dark purple. It's called Mercantile. And the other color was this gray with like some really beautiful speckles called Button Jar. So those were January's colors. Usually they ship out about a month after. So you like order them at the start of the month and they usually ship by the end of the month. So I haven't received February's yet. So I have some time to hopefully make some progress on this before February's colors come. But I think this will also be a really fun year-long project. Oh, I should have mentioned for the sweet shop blanket with polka dot crepe yarn, I'm using a 4.0 US size 6mm needle. For this one, this is Woolberry Fiber Co. It's Berry Merino, which is 100% merino. The polka dot crepe is 75 merino, 25 nylon. This one's a bit of a thicker yarn, so I'm using a 4.5mm needle. I started with a 4. I thought it was a bit too tight, so I'm using a 4.5, and I love it. So yeah, this is just in its baby infant stages, but I think it's gonna be a really fun project, and I'm excited to see the color combinations. Every month it's usually a solid or like a semi-solid tonal and a speckle. So I think having that kind of as a pattern throughout the year, even though the colors are going to be super different, I think will be really fun. So that is sweet shop blanket number 2. I mean, hey, once you like a pattern, might as well just keep working on it, right? Okay, the other knitting project I wanted to show was this gorgeous new shawl pattern, which was just recently released by Natasha from Moonstruck Knits. And this is I want to say it's pronounced Sylph. I don't actually know. We'll just go with Sylph, the Sylph shawl. It's stunning. As soon as I saw it, I was like, I absolutely need that. And so I bought that pattern right away. And then I was completely enabled by Lichen and Lace yarn, which is actually kind of a local-ish yarn dyer to me. They're in New Brunswick, which is the province over for me. And they were offering kits for this, featuring this absolutely stunning green. Like, how amazing is this? I love it so much. So this is Citron, and it is their Rustic Heather Sport Weight yarn. So the pattern calls for a DK weight yarn, but they're knitting it at a sport weight gauge. So this, like, it works out perfectly. So got this yarn, cast it on. I just have the tiniest of little starts, but look at how pretty this is. I love it. This yarn is so beautiful and rustic and lovely. I mean, hence the name Rustic Sport. It's gorgeous. I'm loving how this is knitting up. I'm really excited to get into some of those flower stitches. Yeah, so I started this the other night, you know, at 10 p.m. as you do, and you're like, oh, I need a new start. So I didn't put in too much of it, but I'm really excited to keep going with it. So if you are kind of an experienced knitter and want a bit of a challenge, I highly recommend Natasha Hornsby's charts. So she has some amazing patterns, most of which are charted, some like more difficult advanced stuff, but it's like so fun and hurts my brain, but in a good way. So really enjoying this and going to keep working on that. All right, that is all the knitting progress. I haven't really done a ton of crochet lately. I am working on the giant Grain Explorer blanket I'm making for Spencer's cousin. I didn't bring that here. I'm hopefully finishing that in the next couple of weeks. It is humongous. So his cousin is 6'1", and so I wanted to make sure the blanket was big enough. So once that's finished, I'll make sure to show that on here. Okay, that's all the projects I'm working on. Let's just show some haul because it's been a couple months and I've definitely been shopping. So yes, haul. You know when you're like really busy and don't have a ton of time to stitch, so instead you just like buy a lot of stuff because it feels like it's the next best thing to actually be able to stitch? That's been me the past few months. So one of the things that I got was this gorgeous sampler, Ann Johnson 1832, which is an exclusive to Traditional Stitches. I believe you can still get it on their website. It's a Hands Across the Sea pattern. It is beautiful. I just loved these colors, loved it so much. They had posted this, I think, in December, and I got mine. I think they were shipping them in end of January. I got it recently. Anyway, love this. I do want to figure out what I want to stitch instead of the verse here, because it's kind of like a religious quote. I'm not religious. I just want to kind of change that to something else. Or I also thought about just like removing it and just putting more baskets there. I don't know. Anyone else have any ideas about that? I do want to change something there, but I love the rest of it and how it looks. So I got the full kit, which came with this gorgeous thread bed, which is like the sampler printed on a fabric. How cool is that? So it's just like a thread bed made by Crafty Cory Stitches. So that was super cool. I got the linen. So they had a couple different linen options. Well, I got the cheapest one because why not? So this is 45 count Thai iced tea legacy linen. Again, I've been all about the Access Commodities linen lately. If you haven't used it, I would highly recommend it. It's not a Zweigart base, but it's not a Witch Elf base. They make their own linen. So the counts are all like odd number counts. So they do like, instead of 36 count, they have like 35 count and 37 count. And instead of 46 count, they have 45 count. And they also have like, yeah, they have like all kinds of strange numbers and stuff, but it's really nice linen. So if you ever use like Witch Elf linen, I think a lot of people don't really care for it because it's like very stiff. This is not like that at all. This is like a beautiful, this is much closer to Zweigart, but it's even thicker than Zweigart. Anyway, you got to try it. I love it. You can get it at 123 Stitch, you can get it at Traditional Stitches. Anyway, so that's the linen. And then this is a first for me. I got the SWA 103 silks. So you use one strand of this on the 45 count and it's supposed to be perfect coverage. So let's take these out of here so you can see. These are so soft. It's a pretty thin, let me just shove my fingers in there. I can't get it out. It's pretty thin thread. I don't know if you can see kind of sticking out there, but it's supposed to be good coverage on 45 count. I haven't started this yet. There is a stitch along that's being run for this with monthly parts where it's all been divided up. Sorry. There's a Facebook group that has the stitch along details. It was supposed to start February 14th. That was a slightly hectic week as it was the day before we were leaving for a trip to the Dominican. We left on the 15th. So needless to say, I did not start it, but I am hoping to start this in the near future. And it is beautiful. One thing I really appreciate too is we got the hard copy chart, but they also sent us a PDF version too, which is amazing and highly, highly appreciated. Oh, and let's look at our centerfold. Yeah, so it's a beautiful, beautiful sampler and I'm really excited to start it. I just love all these reds and pinks. So yeah, I'm very excited about that. I haven't stitched a Hands Across the Sea before, so I have like a couple started, but I haven't really like put a lot of effort into them. So I'm excited to do this one. So that was one of the things I got. What else? Okay, so I don't know about you, but I'm obsessed with everything to do with Evertote and Roxy Floss because I love all their stuff. So basically every time they put out a video, it's dangerous for my credit card because I just end up buying everything. So most recently, Kerri and Caroline were talking about the Peacock, Unicorn, and Badger piece, which, how amazing is this? So they were offering a floss conversion as well as fabric. And the genius that they were doing was that the fabric is this dark green color, so you don't have to stitch the background. This is a full coverage piece, but if you stitch it on a dark green fabric, you do have to do the full coverage, what do you call it? Water. What do you call it? But you don't have to stitch all the green background here. So they don't offer the chart. I got this chart from 123stitch, and it's this beautiful booklet. The chart, I think I can just show this because it's not going to help, but it's all in full color. It's a beautiful chart. So I got that from 123stitch, and I'm going to stitch it with the DMC, but I did get the fabric. So this is from Evertote, and this fabric is called Pub Crawl. So Peacock, Unicorn, Badger, PUB, Pub Crawl. Get it? Get it? Not gonna lie, it took me a minute to get it. So look at how beautiful this is. So I got the 36 count. It is a half yard. So it is more than enough. I think I need like a 24 by 24 inch piece, and this is 24 by 36. So yeah, it's beautiful. There's some gorgeous modeling on it. It's just an absolutely stunning fabric. I'm really excited to start this. So like I said, it's charted for, I think, silk and DMC. Yeah, for Overa Swath silk and DMC. So I'm gonna use the DMC conversion, and I'm not stitching the background. So that will take out a lot of stitches because I'm stitching it on dark green. So yeah, I'm very excited to start this. Who knows when I'll start it. Honestly, the holdup has been that I'm gonna be scanning this chart into Markup RXP, and so it just takes a while to kind of just sit down and scan every single page. But I will do that eventually, and I just love this. So is anyone else stitching this? I know a lot of people bought this fabric and stuff when they saw it, because how could you not? So curious to know if you're working on it. All right, another thing I bought because I was enabled by Kerri was this chart, which is Moggy Manor by The Blue Flower. And I'd seen this chart before, never really thought much about it. But then when I saw Kerri stitching it and saw all of the cute animals, I was like, I need this. So got this chart, haven't started it, no plans to imminently start it, but I needed it because it's beautiful. All right, other charts I got. So I'm having a moment with flowers. For a while I was having a moment with birds, I still am. But I'm all about the floral charts right now. So I had to get this chart from 123stitch, which is Poche Vintage 2. I don't know if I'm saying that right. By Reflet de Soie. And look how pretty that is. It's so gorgeous. I love this. It calls for Soie d'Alger or DMC. I'll probably stitch in DMC, or I might try a Roxy Floss conversion. I might do that. Anyway, I love this. It's so pretty and beautiful. I'm thinking like it would look really nice on like a pale blue linen or something. I gotta do a little stash dive, but yeah, this is also a really nice chart, nice and thick and big. The symbols are huge, so love that. Okay, this next one I had to snap up from 123stitch the second it was released because it was an out of print chart that Blackbird Designs has re-released. So it's available now. You get it from most needlework shops. So that is Winter Wonderland by Blackbird Designs, and I just adore these geese. I'm Canadian, we have geese everywhere. I hate geese in real life because they're evil and loud and stuff, but they're super cute on charts. So yeah, I got this chart. It's so cute. I'm really excited to work on this. I'll probably start this next holiday. I know Liz, Elizabeth Ann Can Stitch, was working on this, and I think Becca from Sambree Stitches was working on it too. Super cute. So now available, which is great. All right, you know how I mentioned that GGR has terrible cover photos? This is a prime example of that. Like, look at this. Again, GGR, I love you, but this photo is like awful. Anyway, this sampler is gorgeous and I love it. So had to get that. And it is MJ1810. This thing is huge. It's like 500 by something. Like it's massive, but look at all those birds. I'm not gonna lie, that's the main reason I got it, was these birds. I love it. I love it. Like, look at this one. It's just on like a little swing and oh, it's so pretty. So this will be a start at some time in the future because it's beautiful. Okay, and then last thing I'm going to show you that I got recently was this gorgeous chart, also again enabled by Evertote, which is this beautiful tapestry of stitches by Jeanette Douglas. So like, look at this, like, look at all that Bargello work. Oh, it's so pretty. And I love like the overrun words that are all in different colors. It's stunning. So I think I got this from 123 Stitch because I was like, I need the silk pack for this. So I got the silk pack, which has all of the colors and stuff that are needed. I think I'm gonna stitch this on 36 count. It says it calls for either 36 count or 40 count Lakeside Linen Light Exemplar. I have like a platinum Swagger 36 count I'll probably use. But yeah, look how pretty that is. I'm really, really excited to start this. I think it's just gonna be absolutely stunning. So yeah, excited for that. Okay, I think that's the main haul I got. I also got a bunch of fabric that will be used eventually. And I'm also a member of the Roxy Floss Co. Floss of the Month Club. So I've been getting that, which has been super exciting to add to my stash every month. So I think that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed it. I think it's a bit of a longer video, which, you know, makes sense after being away for a while. Thank you everyone who left such lovely comments on my post of my finish of Bewitched Park on Instagram. It was very sweet and lovely and amazing. So thank you so much. And thank you everyone who reached out to see, are you okay? Why haven't you posted a video? I'm still here. If you want to follow me on Instagram, I post there pretty frequently. It's just sometimes hard to like get the time to actually sit down and record a video when I want to be stitching instead. So anyway, thanks again for all of your lovely comments and all the inspiration that all of you provide too, because I see a lot of you on Instagram and on YouTube, and it's just so nice to be able to have one big giant enabling circle where we're all just encouraging each other to buy all things. So, and you know, actually stitch and finish the things too. All right, well, again, thanks so much for watching. I hope you found something today that inspires you to pull out some of your stitching or knitting or crocheting as well. I will hopefully be back sooner than 3 months. Take care. Happy stitching. Bye.